Good morning, everyone. This is Mark Cabrera. Welcoming you to our seminar today about the 4 pillars of success of a successful real estate business. So today we're going to be talking about, but if you want to get to that point, you got to take the baby steps. Number one, do things yourself. But the next part I'm going to talk to you about is the prospect for growth, which is the 3rd pillar. The prospect of growth requires for you to be in touch with people, meeting people on a consistent basis. Don't stagnate your life or yourself into having the same people over and over. If you do, it's perfectly fine, but make sure you teach every single person that you're really close with how to refer business to you. You don't have to be the source of the business. See, that's what people don't realize. Some introverts only have a few friends, and I've met some agents. I only have like 5 friends. Oh, great. How close are you to those 5 friends? And if you tell me you're not very close to them, then you're in trouble. Not only you only have 5 friends, you don't even see them. So how the heck are you going to go anywhere in this business? So if you have 5 friends, that's perfectly fine. I have one friend that referred me 28 clients that closed. One friend over the years referred me 28 clients. And those 28 clients, guess what? They referred me other clients. So you can even just have one friend, and that friend could be that extrovert that actually is meeting everybody, that loves to make your business grow. But guess what? If you're not providing any value to that person, why the heck is that person going to keep doing that for you? Right? Always understand that there's always an invisible, like something that you don't see, intangible, they call it, right? Intangible value that you can bring to others. Whether it's the friendship is about being the confidant of that person, the person's psychologist, maybe, even though you don't have a degree in psychologist. I mean, we wear a lot of hats in this business. We actually get to be like their marriage counselors sometimes. I mean, so friendship to me is the number one premise of why people bring business back to me. And when people tell me like, oh, well, you should be able to kind of like distinguish between acquaintances and friends. Yeah, but I will never say it to their face, I mean, to me, I think you don't categorize people. Maybe in the back of your mind, I don't want to be as close friend as I want to be with her. You know what I'm saying? You will have a distinction for yourself, but I treat everybody equally. And to me, that's very important, because the more you practice equal treatment to everyone, the more likely that you're actually succeed in this business, because people know you as you are, what we call predictable. So the key to this business is really being able to be predictable to others. So when you meet people out there, right, the one thing I do, and everybody tells me, is like, oh, where's your business card? You want my business card? Well, why don't I get your number and I text you my information right now? And the reason why I do that, I don't know if you guys run into ever, when you give a business card and you ask for the person's number, oh, I'll call you. I'm like, okay, now I have no control of the situation, right? So when people ask me for my business card after I talk to them, I usually just pick up my phone. It's like, okay, what's your phone number? And if they're hesitating to give me their phone number, guess what? I don't want to waste my business card on you. It's worth 20 cents. So you got to understand, you got to make it worthwhile for you to even pull out that business card. Because if I do have my business card with me, I'll text them my number first, so then I have their number and I put their information on mine. And then when I finish putting their information, on the bottom it says title, or it says like suffix or whatever. I include something there that actually how I'm meeting them. That's key, by the way, because I didn't used to do that. And I think I have about 5,000 phone numbers and names. I don't even know where it came from. So I always track where I get people's information from. So if I met them at Chili's and let's say in Chantilly, I'll put Chili's in Chantilly. Met at Chili's at Chantilly. If we talked about something that will make me kind of jog my memory who they are, I write down what exactly. So when I'm looking at their information, I can see and I can remember who they are. I can imagine their face, and I can imagine a conversation, right? The more important than the face is the conversation. Why? Because when you pick up that phone and you tell them, yeah, and we were talking about your mom. How was your mom? How's your mom doing now? it becomes very personal. And when you're making phone calls, make sure you take notes. That's one thing I can tell you. In your same like phone book on your phone, keep it simple. There's a note part there. I promise you, if you put edit and you go down all the way to the bottom, it says notes. You shut down notes, okay, I put a date there and put spoke, SP for spoke, make it all quick, like really, and we talked about this. We talked about their son actually being, whatever, they're playing soccer. His son's name is this name, Alan. His son's name is Alan. Da, 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 da. So when I'm actually having a conversation with that person, I just pull up the notes. I know exactly the last conversation we had or even prior to that. And then I bring up those information because I cannot remember everybody's name. But guess what? I want to be best friends with 1,200 people at least, That's the way I look at it. 120, by the way, is just the general rule. If you have 120 people and you're very close to those 120 people, which is very hard to do, by the way, but it is possible with today's technology because you can already put their birthday on a automatic text, on a scheduled text, and every year you'll say happy birthday to them without even doing anything. So I have like happy anniversary, happy birthday, all programmed into my phone that actually just text them happy birthday on every single year. And if they believe in Christmas, and have Merry Christmas. I mean, but you don't have to, and you can make it as short as possible. To me, the shorter the message, the meaningful it is. Because some people want to brag about like, oh, I'm at the Samsung top producer and this is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nobody cares. I'm sorry. Well, you know what people care about is that you care about them. Okay? That's what people care about. They don't care what your accomplishments are. They care about you caring about them. And then in doing so, you can get business. So I actually once in a while have coffee with one of my clients, and this afternoon her sister is buying a house, as a matter of fact. So I'm actually working on trying to work with her to try to actually buy a home. And luckily, I mean, I guess I was fortunate. We started with, I think, like 600 to 1.5 million, and now we're actually at 1.875 million. I'll be showing houses today. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is great. But that's from coffee from her sister, who actually happens to love me because we talk about all her issues on coffee. And I talk to her about my issues. And that's what friends do, right? I mean, I talk about all the great things that happen in my life, and she talks about all the great things that happen in her life. Like her girlfriends, they went out to Las Vegas and da-da-da-da-da. She tells me everything, which is to me, I'm like, oh, this is great, I think growing up, actually, I hung out primarily with women, so I can have a better connection with women for some reason. So like, hanging out with mostly women of all my life, I actually kind of know, I kind of know how to actually interact with them. So I'm actually one of her close friends. And I have a lot of those in my life. Why? Because this is the nature of the business that I got myself into. Like 3-4 months ago, one of my friends who happens to be a plastic surgeon calls me up and says, hey, Mark, can you write an offer for one of my friends? Actually, she needs an agent. Can you write in the next 2 hours? I was like, yeah, sure. It's like $1.6 million the person bought. So, I mean, knowing the people and becoming friends with people is as important as prospecting. See, prospecting, 1/10 of 1% is your probability of closing. 1/10 of 1%. That is a huge number to actually overcome, which means you need to call hundreds of people to get one client. It's a lot of work. With me, I actually go out there. If I meet a guy who actually happens to be taking care of my, like one of my friends actually was taking care of my lawn, right? He's already referred me 3 clients that bought a house with me, right? That's the difference. The difference is being able to connect with people and get to the point where they think that they could actually put their name behind your name. Because that's what referral is. A referral is somebody who wants to have your services through their friends, which means they're putting their name on the line. Do you agree? And if their name on the line, you have to be predictable. Because if you're not predictable, they wouldn't want to send you business because their name is on the line. Right? So that's the key to everything that we're doing. You have to be consistent in meeting people on a weekly basis. If you're not meeting anyone on a weekly basis, then your business is dying because some people actually already forgot about you. Okay? Are you planting seeds on a daily basis with each and every person you can? When I say planting seeds in our business, is inspiring people. Are you inspiring them to own a house or become an investor if they already own a house? Or actually make changes in their lives to better themselves and upgrade their home? Or actually, if they're renting, to own a home, right? Those are the things that you're looking at. In the market we're in right now, from my understanding, the interest rates actually went up, I think, 0.5% in the past week, but it went up also another 0.5% like in the past 3 months. So we're up 1% at this point on the interest rate, and it's going up. From the trend looks like, from my understanding, Federal Reserve put out the notice out there that they're going to raise the rates 4 times this year. Well, that's opportunity. Why? Because the market is starting to slow down, inventory starts to go up, and those buyers that were actually on the fence because there's not enough inventory is going to stop popping up. And people that are actually, inflation kicking in, groceries are getting more expensive, food's getting more expensive, everything's getting more expensive. Gas is getting more expensive. Guess what? With all that inflation coming in, will actually create hardships out there, unfortunately, and some people will start to lose their home. And when that starts to happen, basically, you'll see what happened in 2008 happening in today's market. I had one of my best years in 2008, 2009, 2010. One of my best years are actually in those years. Why? Because when the market shifts, people don't know what to do, right? I look at that as when there's chaos, there's opportunity. So when there's chaos where people don't know the market is shifting, they don't know what to do, I look at that as like, oh my gosh, we're starting from a starting line right now. Like, you're the top agent last year or 2 years ago. Guess what? Your market is gone. So you're back in the starting line with me now. Now I have an opportunity to actually get started with you, together with you. We're all together in the same boat, right? So there's going to be a weeding out of agents out there who's going to end up taking a full-time job and leaving the business. So there's going to be less agents. Less agents mean less competition in terms of number of clients that you have to actually deal with other agents. So the opportunities are there to grow your business, but you have to be aware of what's going on right now in this market. So we are March going into April 2022. This market is going to be changing in the next 12 months. This is what I see, in my opinion. Okay, I'm not an expert on other markets, but in the real estate market, I've been in this is my 3rd cycle of a downturn. So I know what it looks like when it's downturning and the opportunities that you can have on those areas. So foreclosures, short sales gonna go up first. Foreclosures gonna go up next. I have a buddy in Tampa who actually told me, like, Mark, I'm going back into asset management when the market turns. Just be ready. So I'm getting my Florida license. I'm actually working on kind of setting up my crew to make sure I have enough people to actually work with. Because on a foreclosure market, which I've actually, have listings on foreclosures, you need manpower because the amount of work it requires for you to get consistent listings on that side requires you to have people that are actually going to be doing like winterization, the rekeying of the house, eviction or cash for keys, which, by the way, that's how I got into the business. I couldn't evict people. I didn't have the heart for it. So I'm like, I'm not going into foreclosure. And then one day they're like, wow, the banks decided they're going to give money to actually let people out of the house. I'm like, oh, I like that one. So it actually offered, like, I knock on the door. I was like, hey, I could have a check for you looking like this if you actually move out of the house. So I actually enjoy that better. So going into this marketplace, that's how they shifted. There was no short sales back then before 2006. And I was already starting to get into it because I had clients that are actually in trouble and I had agents who don't want to handle short sales. So I took them all. Why? Because I wanted to learn that part of the business, which yielded me about 235 transactions over the years that I've been doing. That's not bad. I mean, on the short sale, but people don't like it because it's a lot of work. But then the way I look at it, that's what the title company is for. They were slow at the time. So I'm like, hey, can you get your assistants and your attorneys to actually negotiate this? And in 2008, they shifted and they actually wanted professionals to handle short sales because, of course, our business is more marketing than actually negotiating something with the bank. So that's when the title company stepped in. So now I'm actually, even right now, I'm starting to get short sales. I'm actually closing one hopefully in the next 30, 45 days. So knowing what I know, I have my finger on the pulse. I know what's going on in the market. So what I teach is one thing, but if you're not out there in the field, you can teach in theory, but you're not going to actually really have people learn unless you know what's going on. So the market is shifting, be aware of it, but prospecting has to be consistent. The one thing I can tell you, in 2005, and this is kind of interesting, 2005, right? I was making good income, and all of a sudden I made it to the top 20 of Remax back then. Like there's 25,000 agents, and I was in the top 20. 2008, market crash, I made it again to 2000 and top 20 of the whole region again. And I was thinking, it's like, what the heck happened? And what I came to realize, because I was doing the same income in 2006 and 7, I didn't even make it to the top 25, right? And I was like, what got me to 2008 being in the top 20 again is the fact that I was doing exactly this, meeting new people and making the phone calls on my past clients and making phone calls on the people I'm prospecting business to. And I stayed consistent on being able to reach out to people. So prospect for growth is the third pillar that you got to understand. Because there's a saying in our business, either you're growing or you're dying. When I say dying is you're getting out of the business at some point. Take a list of all the people you know, right? And have about 120. And if you don't have 120, okay, start borrowing people's list. When I say that is throw birthday parties and anniversary parties for people that you know, okay? And do a raffle. So you get to actually get all their information, their names and numbers, and you have a common person you know, which is the person that you just sponsored the anniversary or birthday from. Does that make sense? So that's called borrowing somebody else's center of influence. People never get to think about this sometimes. But if you have a best friend and you want to throw a party for your best friend, your best friend has a different set of friends than you do, right? So what you do is you actually ask her if you could be the one to organize and sponsor her birthday, right? And then have a raffle there to give away gift cards to everybody. Everybody's happy, and you got everybody's information. And then in the future, when you have events, you invite those people, so then you can start to connect with those people. Yeah, it works. Believe me, that's what I've been doing so many years. It's very basic. You know how much it costs? It's between $300 to $800 at the most, between gift cards and actually, sponsoring for 25 people to eat. Average, let's say nowadays, maybe $15 to $20 per person. It's not a lot. I would rather spend money on my friends than spend money on postcards and mailers, like some people do. Or actually pay like AdWords on Google and Facebook kind of thing. To me, it's very impersonal for me. And the people that you call on Facebook and Google ads are actually like strangers, right? Complete strangers. And what do you do with complete strangers when they call you? Do you like talking to them? Do you like talking to all the people that call you? No, exactly. Same issues that everybody's having, right? Now, if you're a good talker, you might be able to actually like engage, and yeah, you might be able to get clients out of it. But it's a statistical number that you got to understand that marketing works, because you have to actually run a specific number of calls that you put out there, and eventually you run into somebody who actually could use your work, could use your service, right? But a lot of the times they're not like the ones that are ready, which is okay to me. We met somebody actually in the middle of nowhere, and actually like sat down with her and talked to her about how to improve her credit. Not myself, but loan officer did. But then that relationship is beginning. It'll take about 6 to 8 months before that person can buy a house. You see, but that's the cold prospecting side. The easier part is the people you hold their events for them, and then since you're the one sponsoring, sponsor out a raffle where you give people's names and numbers and email addresses. Just don't harass their friends, because now pretty soon they're not going to be your friend if you harass the heck out of their friends, right? So what you got to do is once in a while you invite them to an event. And the event doesn't even have to be about you. It could be like a church event, or it could be a community event of some sort, right? But knowing the fact that you are actually connected to them through a mutual friend is much easier. It's warmer. Do you agree? So if I'm friends with you and I met you and I'm talking to you, We have a common friend. So you're not going to misbehave because your common friend actually might say something like, why are you so rude? It's like, man, I'm not selling you anything. So planting seeds is very important. When I say planting seeds, this part here is very important to understand. When you're planting seed, it means you're inspiring people. Like people that are not owning a house, I usually like start planting seeds at some point. Second or third conversation I have with them, I talk to them about the benefits, why you would want to own a house. Because, like right now, inflation, 20 years ago when I was renting a 2-bedroom, it was only $650 a month. And today, that same 2-bedroom in that same unit is actually $1,600, $1,800 a month. That's inflation for you. But guess what? Since I own a house, that mortgage payment is the same all the way from the next 30 years. And then 30 years from now, you don't have to pay anything. That's the biggest difference. That's one of the things I tell people when they're renting a home. Why would you rent a home? You're wasting your money that way. Make sense?
We will advise people to buy their house if they are afraid that they are from a you sell houses knowing that
They don't have to go short sale if they put enough down payment on it, right? So save money. If you're afraid of that, save money. Oh, better yet, wait. Wait, when the market crashes, you and I will talk about it and we'll go look for houses then. What do you think? The market's going to crash at some point, right? So that's why I'm so excited about the market crashing, because I got all those people waiting. I got like over 100 people actually waiting for me to actually give them, hey, it's time to buy. So yeah, I prepare them.
does the interest go up?
Usually interest goes up. That's why the reason why the market actually goes down. Here's how, this is the relationship between inflation, knowing a little bit about economics. If you look at and the facts that happened in 2008, all you got to do is research what happened in 2008. You can see the correlation. The interest rate gets brought up by the Federal Reserve to slow down inflation, which means to slow down the increasing of prices. That's the reason why they raise the rate. So you got to do your research on that, and you'll get a better understanding why I'm mentioning that the market is going to actually slow down and the prices are going to start to calm down. Because if you can afford $2,000 a month right now, and the interest rate is 3.25%, let's say, right, 3.5%, like the way like 3-4 months ago, then your mortgage payment is going to be like $1,800 or something like that, right? But that same $300,000 today, if the interest rate's at 4.5%, is going to be close to $1,900 to $2,000. And if the interest rate goes up to 6.5%, that same property is going to be around $2,100. So at some point, your monthly payment cannot be affordable. So now you have to actually buy down. So your same $1,800 budget that you have, like in December, that you can buy $300,000, you can only buy $280, $270. Hence the reason why the market will slow down. There's going to be more inventory. And also the fact that people right now are actually, the inflation's kicked in and it's more expensive to live. So at some point, the budget's going to get bombarded. So where you're budgeting for let's say $1,500 to live, now that same $1,500, you have to pay $2,500 to live, right? So now where it's going to get eaten up? At some point, you're going to be behind on your bills, right? And that's where the short sale starts to kick in and the foreclosure starts to kick in and the market starts to slow down. All you got to do is research what happened in 2008. You can see the correlation of everything. I'm not a market expert, but I know because I studied what it looked like on the 2 other instances that when we had a market downturn, interest rate goes up, market slows down, prices goes down. So it's somehow or another, I mean, it's correlated, but the direct correlation between real estate prices and housing real estate prices and is directly correlated to jobs. People's income. So if people's purchasing power goes down, then there's less people going to be buying at some point. And the people that are actually on the fence right now in the next 2 years, that's why we're going to hit the peak. I think we're not even at the peak yet, but I think we're going to hit the peak. I'm talking about not the prices, but I'm talking about the volume. See, I care more about the volume, because when I'm talking about the peak, if I actually did, let's say 24 houses last year, I want to actually look at it from this year. I want to make like, let's say 50 houses. I have a better chance of doing my 50 houses than the previous year. Does that make sense? because there's more people that are going to be able to actually compete than what it is right now, where you actually have one house and there's like 10 offers or 5 offers. Crazy numbers, right? At some point, that's going to slow down because the interest rates are going up and there's going to be less buyers. Buyers are have to step down in terms of what they're able to afford. And there's going to be actually a scenario where the prices that's gone up too high, people cannot afford. They're going to start losing their house. And then the whole cycle of the downturn, what we call recession, kicks in. So, like I said, I'm not the expert in that, but I've been studying that. Why? Because it directly affects how we do business. So being able to adjust your business towards what's going on in the market is a very critical part to be able to grow. And that's the fourth pillar we're going to talk about. So are you calling past clients and prospects to stay in touch with them? Because this is essentially what I do. I'm planting seeds. So when the market crash, these people that own houses become investors for me. Those people that are actually don't own houses, they can be my clients again, right? Those people that are actually like on the fence, they're going to move forward. And also I'm getting them to kind of like, hey, have you been saving money? Because this is something that you would need when the time comes you need to buy a home. So saving money is really quite important. So that's one of the things I keep reminding them, save money. Are you active in your communities that you have influence in? So being active in communities is actually another important aspect of what we do, because we can get clients from our own communities, believe it or not. And some of the people I've been mentoring this year, the past 12 months, I have one that started in January, was being mentored by someone else for 6 months prior. And she was like, oh my gosh. And this year, I think she's done about 10 or 11 transactions already in the past year. So I showed her exactly how to market her own community. And she's getting business like there's no tomorrow from her church, because she became active at church and she started actually doing all the activities, inviting the people to the activities, the volunteering and all that stuff. She started doing all that stuff. And next thing you know, the pastor loves her so much. It's like the pastor's giving her all the clients. Hey, listen, so-and-so family looking to sell the house. Can you actually help them? And like, oh yeah, sure. So next thing you know, she's selling all these houses. And I would say 50% is from the communities that she started marketing to. But when I met her, she's like, communities? Why would I market to my own community? I mean, they know I'm already in real estate. I was like, no, you got to connect with your community. Individual people you need to actually reach out to. And the more you volunteer, the more the person who's in charge of the whole community will want to give you business, because what? Reciprocation. You see, you're putting out a lot of time to help another, the church leader to actually kind of achieve their goals. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to say, oh my gosh, you're doing so much. So-and-so looking to buy a house. Can you help them? Right? So it's a natural, reciprocity scenario. And that's how she's getting her business. 50% of the business coming from there. Are you staying in touch with family and friends? This is something and are you providing consistent value to those people around you? Those are the easiest one that can give you referrals. If they don't like you, they won't give you referrals, of course. I mean,